Have you ever wanted the full PlayStation experience on your Steam Deck? No hassle, glyphs in the game without the use of a Dualsense or even a PlayStation 5 or even Wi-Fi. I'm going to cover that today in this video, so stay tuned. What is up, everyone? My name is AC. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how you can achieve the full PlayStation experience with your Steam Deck and your Steam Deck alone. You don't need to connect to the internet. You do not need to have a DualShock. I'm not talking about just getting PlayStation games on your Steam Deck alone. I'm talking actually getting the glyphs to show in-game. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. To sort of visualize what I'm trying to share with you today, I'm gonna go ahead and show you an example with the newly released Stellar Blade that is on the Steam Deck. All right, y'all, so we're in game, and if you notice here on the bottom right, those are Xbox glyphs. But this is a PlayStation game. We're gonna want PlayStation glyphs instead. So what you're gonna wanna do is exit out of this entirely. And this is if you already have this application called DeckShock 4 installed already. There is a link in the description to show you how to install it. It's very easy. It takes less than 5 minutes. You're going to want to go into your library. If you have DeckShock, you just add it as a non-Steam game in your library. You just go ahead and activate it. And you're going to go ahead and go into your game and let it launch. And now, as you can see, we have the PlayStation glyphs. And it works with a bunch of other games too. I'm going to go ahead and actually show you some other examples here. Returnal is a huge example because even when you're playing on the TV, Returnal will still show it'll only show Xbox glyphs even if you have a DualShock. And I know y'all have been telling everyone, go check the Steam input settings, disable Steam input. That doesn't work either. That does not work. Even when you have a DualSense or a DualShock controller and you're playing on the TV and you're playing Returnal specifically, it is still going to show Xbox glyphs. All right, so we're in Returnal, and as you can see right there, that is a PlayStation glyph right there. Perfect. This is a great solution to have when you're like really wanting to have something as close to the PlayStation Portal. This is way simpler than having to connect to the internet like in the middle of a flight, or if you're like abroad or on the go. And some games will even have the option in game to change the glyphs. Control has that option, as well as Silent Hill 2, the remake. Other games that I know that have the option to switch the glyphs in the game is Uncharted, the Legacy of Thieves collection, as well as Black Myth Wukong. Other games that are supported with DeckShock 4 is Sackboy. The only thing you have to do with Sackboy, and you can also test this with other games as well, is you're gonna have to go into the actual controller, Steam Deck controller settings, edit the layout, and remove every command in the Steam input. Because what the Steam input's going to want to do is reference this instead of this, the PlayStation controller. So the solution would be to remove all of the commands that are associated with each of the buttons. And that goes with the D-pad as well as the triggers, joysticks, trackpads, everything. Remove everything, and then it can work for games like Sackboy. As you can see, we are in Sackboy, and PlayStation glyphs do show up in the game. You go into a world, you see PlayStation glyphs underneath here. And this also works for The Last of Us, but it only works for part 1, not part 2. Other games that this does not work for is any of the Spider-Man games, any of the Horizon games. This does not work for. I don't know why. Those games specifically, Steam Deck just wants to read its own input. So yeah, I hope all this information is helpful. I wanted also to note that I did create the layout, this layout specifically through Decky Loader. You're gonna find the link to that video on the top right corner here. Be sure to subscribe, like, leave a comment if you found this to be very helpful. I personally was splitting hairs trying to get this to work, but I'm happy it does work and it's very easy once you have it installed and know what game works with it. Because it doesn't work for every PlayStation title, but it does work for a good sizable chunk. But anyway, that is it. Thanks again.